That's what Matt Ponatoski is going to be doing when he's wearing Kentucky blue. That's right. The Cats got a blue chip quarterback to commit to the 2026 recruiting class. Luckett, there was a time where it felt like it was going to be a pipe dream, but Kentucky actually got across the finish line. Ponatoski is ranked by On3 as the ninth ranked quarterback, number 100 player overall. Recruiting high school quarterbacks, it hasn't always been successful, but now the Cats, they've got a couple of high schoolers in their quarterback room, and Ponatoski, he checks a lot of boxes, a dual sport athlete, and look at this is a recruitment. You've been all over from the jump. Some people were wondering, is Adam Luckett? He's putting in an RPM pick. This feels a little premature, but hey, you got dibs. You were first. You were first on it. Well done. Congrats, sir. Well done.
Yeah, I think we could do a little victory lap here. We were the first really on when he camped, which is really when this recruitment started a little over a year ago now. Nick, he showed up to the last camp and really like lit it ablaze. It was kind of a big surprise there. And then the season kind of starts. He was not really he was on the radar, but wasn't really on the radar. And then he just has this huge junior season. And that's really when the interest starts to ramp up, because I think before then, this was very much looked at a kind of a baseball recruit, which he still is. But I think football has kind of took the center stage, but he basically rewrites the record book at Moeller High School, and becomes like this big, legit football recruit. And now he enters the camp circuit finally, which was wasn't something he was on previously, and kind of blows up, goes to the Elite 11. At Elite 11, he has a really good performance. Seems like he was in the top half of quarterbacks there, maybe in the top, there was 20 quarterbacks. He might have been in the top 5 from people that were out there and had eyes on the event. And so he kind of blows up, and you see Oregon throw their hat in the ring. You see Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, throw their hat in the ring. And Arkansas was involved for a while. I think baseball was really carrying some weight there for the Hogs. But Kentucky was just kind of steady Eddie, I would say, throughout this entire recruitment. I think the location was really big here. I think having the SEC baseball certainly didn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But the football selling point, too, I think was significant here. He's going to have an avenue for playing time, potentially pretty early, can be the quarterback in this class. We talk about all the time how quarterback recruiting just moves so fast. You kind of have to have your guys. Where I think Kentucky kind of benefited from not moving too fast here, because things developed and they're able to land Matt Ponatoski. We'll get into kind of the player he is, but just a massive kind of shot in the arm, I think, for the recruiting operation that's kind of on the uptick right now. And it gives them a recruiting win in Ohio, one that looked like they weren't going to get. And they've got a guy who can be the face of the program, is a legit bona fide prospect. I've kind of floated it out on KS Board. I think you can make the case that just from a pure kind of prospect standpoint, this is the best one they've had since Tim Couch. I think you can make that case. Now you want to see how he plays as a senior,
Mm-hmm.
but by all intents and purposes, like if he has another year like he had last year, he's a top 100 prospect. He might be getting to the top 50. This is a legitimate, real deal guy here at the sport's most important position, and Kentucky got him. And he's very exciting because you feel like he's just scratching the surface.
You to make the case for you, Luckett, there have been some other highly ranked guys. Cutter Boley was ranked highly when he committed to Kentucky. Same with Drew Barker. But there wasn't all the other stuff, too, right? Like, Barker didn't win a ton of games at Cooper High, right? LCA, Boley threw a lot of picks his senior year. He didn't take them deep into the state tournament. This is a guy who plays for Archbishop Moeller, one of the more recognized programs in the state of Ohio, who, the numbers are insane. 4,200 yards, 58 touchdowns, and only 3 picks. And he's doing this in Division I Ohio football against teams like Princeton, who are power conference football factories, against St. X, where the college game day crew is there watching with Kirk Herbstreit. He made it all the way to the Division I state title game before falling there. Was Mr. Football in Ohio as a junior, and then Gatorade State Player of the Year. Not just in football, but also in baseball. And that's why I think the Couch comp is fair because of all the other stuff, right? Like Couch was a big deal because he was setting national records and playing basketball too and being a stud in that. Like he had a lot of other stuff that came with him too. And that's what Ponatoski is going to be for Kentucky, especially if he has another outstanding senior year. But I did want to mention the baseball before we get to more specifics on his game because, I mean, he's a top 20 prospect. He's been clocked at 97 on the gun, throwing the ball, but he's a shortstop. And the other remarkable part about this is he didn't officially visit Kentucky football. He took an official visit with Kentucky baseball. So should we be giving Nick Mingione credit for this Kentucky football recruiting win?
I think it played a role. I do, but I think in the end it was real. This became kind of a football first recruitment. From everything I've understood and I've learned, he wants to play quarterback. Like he's going to college to play quarterback, but he also wants to play baseball. He doesn't want to make a decision yet, but I think he's going to be full on trying this football thing out unless the draft comes, the Major League Baseball draft, and basically how that works for those who not there's not like a pay grade for those who are not familiar with it. Like teams have a certain amount of draft pool money and they can overpay for their draft class. So like you could pay if they have $20, they could pay, hey, Matt Ponatoski, I'm gonna pay you, $13, 60% of my pool. So you could pay what's called overslot. And that's used to try to, I think, to combat against maybe a kid going to college, right? Typically. Yeah. Not necessarily the football thing. But the meeting the quiet kind of unofficial visit he had that we reported on, that he was on campus, I think a big part of that visit was trying to figure out like NIL wise where they were going to be. NIL is a big fact. It's going to be a huge factor here. Specifically if he has this big year and if an MLB team is willing to pay, and what are they willing to pay for him? Can they be in the ballpark or can they go above that if they need to? So like that's a long way off and we're going to discuss that when it comes, what it's going to take. But for now, Kentucky did what they had to do to get him in the boat, and he's got a chance to really be a really, really good player here. And Nick, like you mentioned some of these other quarterbacks, like he hasn't done and we've talked about this, he hasn't done the whole I'm a quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't done the training and the throwing workouts and working on hiring a private coach and all of that. He hasn't done any of that. If he ever, eventually I think he's going to have to pick, eventually I don't think you can play quarterback, legit. If he's going to make a run at this and try to be a SEC starting quarterback, and if you're SEC starting quarterback, you're going to try to be a draft pick, NFL draft pick. I just don't know how much you can how much time you can spend on. I think you can do both, but it's going to have to be kind of a fine line. Yeah. Eventually, you're going to have to commit yourself, I think, kind of 100% to one of these. And if he ever does that, that's how high is the ceiling?
Well, because to your point,
because right now he's with the best in the country, and he hasn't really done any of that.
And on top of it all, he's doing the hard parts well. He was on 3, tabbed him as the most accurate quarterback at Elite 11. And when you put on the tape I feel like decision making and accuracy, those are usually the hardest parts for some of these players to develop. That's what takes time. Cutter Boley's got a big arm. A lot of these guys, they come on the scene because they've got big arms. But the hard part is the accuracy. And, man, when you turn on his tape, he is just putting the ball in crazy spots under pressure. I was watching.
This is a great throw right here. This anticipation through the window, boom.
Bam. I mean, there's one of them where he's got a hole shot right here. The safety knows the ball's coming. It's actually the next play. Sorry. But, the safety sees his eyes, reads his eyes, jumps the route, but it doesn't matter because he puts it in the perfect spot. The accuracy, and then just the ability to just uncork the ball and let it fly. I mean, he's clocked at 97 on the radar gun for a reason. Like the dude can. He's got a cannon, a bona fide cannon, and when he steps into the throw, I mean, he puts this one on a rope, 50 yards down the field.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you look at accuracy,
This
timing.
is the one right here. This timing here.
This was a missile in there. God. Accuracy, timing, pace, touch. I think you see all of that. Like, to be able to throw a deep ball, it takes there's some artistry to it, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not. Sometimes the guys with the biggest arms aren't the best deep ball throwers because do you have to put it on a line? Do you have to put some air under it? Knowing like what receiver you're throwing to, like the touch in the, I mainly just call it like touch, pace, feel for it. You kind of see it on his tape where he just understands how to throw a football. Like he gets, there's some artistry to it. This one right here where he rolls left.
It's beautiful.
Pivots his guys on a deep corner route, it looks like, and just like you can't do it any better than that. And so you see some of that, but you also see, to your point, the fastball, like drilling one in there on a hole shot. You see some of this ad-libbing where he's backpedaling and he's delivering the ball with accuracy on somebody crossing. You see some of the off script in the red zone where he's breaking the pocket and hitting somebody, or throwing somebody open in the back of the end zone. There's just a lot, I think, to be excited about. Now, with him, like you're going to see him in that quarterback room, and he's going to be one of the smaller guys in Kentucky's quarterback room. He's not a big guy, but you don't see that prohibiting when you watch him on tape and when you watch him throw against when compared to some of these other guys. He can just make big boy throws, and he seems like a kid that's really just kind of like, how good can he get from a processing standpoint? And then I like a lot of his pocket mobility, and this goes back to the feel aspect.
Yep.
He's keeping his eyes down the field. He's moving well in the pocket. He shows good, I would say, positional athleticism for the quarterback spot.
Because he's a good athlete. He's a ball player.
And all of that with a live arm. Like, of course, the kid who plays shortstop and can dot 97, like if you get him in a jailbreak play, you better plaster if you're a secondary guy, because he can probably throw it a quarter mile down the field. And so, and he can put different levels of velocity on it. What I like, we all know he's got this power arm, but it doesn't seem like that on tape. Like, it's never him winding up and just throwing lasers. Now, there's a couple spots where you see, oh wow, he's got that in there. He's got that in the barn, in the chamber.
But it's a catchable ball, to your point. Yeah.
And that is the other thing, I think, when you watch him, tight spirals coming out, and the ball is just catchable. Catchable is the right word. It comes out soft. And that has to do with, I think, some of the efficiency we saw from him last year. Look at that, falling down back in the end zone. Right on the money.
Matt Ponatoski, he's an incredible quarterback project, also a great baseball player. Maybe a two-sport star at Kentucky, but in the here and now, this is a massive, massive, massive recruiting win for the Wildcats, who are staying hot in the 2026 recruiting class. We'll have much more on this decision on the KSR YouTube channel, on KSR, on KS Sport, on all of your KSR platforms. We can't get enough of it. You can't either. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. Matt Ponatoski is a Kentucky Wildcat.